Rechartering. So what's going to be different? Oh, let me start by introducing, Donovan Smith. Donovan Smith is a commissioner for, what's your focus, Donovan? Oh, he's one of the primary deputy assistants.
Right, the deputy assistant.
And has like half of all the commissioner things we do. So if you want to, if Rich is on vacation or goes to get his gallbladder out, call Donovan. Rick Souza. Rick, what do you do?
Roundtable rig.
Roundtable rig.
Roundtable and multimedia production.
And of course our council commissioner, Rich Waterman. Thank you, Rich.
Why am I sitting behind the computer?
Because you didn't tell me today.
And Duke Button. Duke is the deputy council executive associate. He's Ralph's number 2, Ralph's deputy. So when Ralph's out getting his gallbladder out and retiring, then Duke's in charge. Okay. All right. So internet recharter. We climbed out of the Stone Ages, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and put some of recharter on the web, made it easier. It used to be pen and ink. There was even a Facebook meme going around about the recharter that had Neil Armstrong on the moon, and that was all pen and ink on a form, just like the old advancement
I saw that.
Yeah. So we got away from that. We're going to internet recharter. We've done that for a few years, worked out some bugs. Just like anything else, society progresses, and so do we. We were sending, or you had to show up in October, get a packet like this, still with lots of paper, and your secret code. The secret code that let the one person handling it for the unit create a login and do all the business on the internet. So someone still had to skip dinner with their family and come to this meeting, or drive 3 hours from Westport to Tacoma or Tumwater, get their packet and turn around and drive 3 hours back. So let's make this even better. Let's go completely electronic. We're going to cross-match the databases with, primarily, you may have seen it, we asked for the unit key 3's contact information this summer, and or the one person on their committee that's handling Recharter, they're going to get the secret code via email. So now you don't have to make that trip to get the Recharter done. We'll still have a great packet of the annual information that will be very helpful to you, including the insurance policy explanation, the OA Lodge renewal for your troop, crew, or Sea Scout ship, get them renewed in the Order of the Arrow, and lots of other fun flyers that can help you with your annual plan. So what's new, what's different? We're sending you the code because we have to change what's going on. This is the next step. If you keep trying and failing, and you keep trying the same thing over and over again, is that the definition of insanity? Yeah. Let's try to improve every year. So this is how we're trying to improve this year, is to send you the code as well, so that the 1 hour a week scout leader on your PAC committee that truly says, I will give you an hour a week, doesn't have to spend 3 weeks worth of their time coming to get Recharter code. Okay? So once you have your Recharter code, it's going to be very simple. Next slide, sir. Oh, there it is. So what's going to happen? To get to this screen, we are going to have a hotkey right there, pacificharbors.org. You know, they have the banner headline, something like this, and it says Pacific Harbors, and then below it there's little tabs, activities, and about us, and everything. Right below that, the first big button, and we want this to be, you know, 3/4 of an inch kind of type characters, red flashing, internet recharter. You'll click that button. Maybe next one will be a little more diminutive copy of the slideshow for instructions. But you click that button. This is the screen that's going to come up. It's got your standard, you know, boilerplate, welcome and thank you, if you're adding whatever, register. Even if you did it last year, you still have to register. Again, this year. Last year's login codes won't work, of course. They change the codes every year. Hit the button for register. Sir. takes you to another screen. Let's talk about who you are. Login page. Enter the access code provided you. This is where that email comes in. So some people are more security averse than others and think that it should only go to one. We want to send it to the key 3, and if there's a designated community member that's doing the recharter for the unit, a 4th person. Last thing we want to do is find out it's December 26th. I can't find that email with the registration code, and of course the office is closed for the holidays and everything, and we're late. We send it to 4 people. 4 people are tracking, and they have some level of awareness that this has to be done. So that code goes in the access code box. Next box, your unit, whether it's a troop crew, etc., and your unit number. We are Crew 7, Pack 007, Troop 007, B and G, all that good stuff. If you just put 7 or 007, that's not going to work for you. You have to use the complete 4-digit number that only shows up on like membership cards and your charter. So we would have to put in 9007. So that's very important.
Question about that.
Yes, sir?
For the access codes, do I have to request it?
No, it's going to come to you automated. We're going to push access codes to every unit. They're key 3, that's in the registration from last year. Plus if this summer, and we'll do another push for the recharter point of contact for the units to send that back into us. We're going to collate all that, put it into the sausage maker, and spit out to every unit.
And then the individual point of contact can be one of your key 3. Or it could be your advancement chair or someone else who you've elected to do that. It doesn't have to be the key 3. We know that people change jobs, change out, so that's why we were trying to get better information this summer, trying to get email addresses for those folks or the person you have elected, so we make sure that we get you. This is not the only training that's going to happen. This is kind of at the beginning stages.
So I'm shaking out all my bugs with you. Thank you for being my first audience. Yes, sir.
So, we're a troop. We have boys and girls. Is it just specified being with a, because it's the same troop number for the boys and the girls. So is it just specified by a B and a G, or is there an administrative troop code number that goes along with the same? In other words, what I'm looking for here is, like, the boys have always been 692. The girls, I heard, were, for administrative purposes, 7692.
So you get 2 codes, one for the boy troop, one for the girls troop.
Okay.
Make sure you keep separate.
Yes.
Because you can pull the wrong roster.
Okay.
But yes, there is a leading number on 692. There is a leading number, and the girl troop's third number, their leading number is actually different.
Yeah. BSA registration use 4 digits as their code. Even though the troop may drop the first digit and just go 3,
Mm-hmm.
in the system,
It's,
we
yeah.
track 4 numbers.
And I'm using the 7 as an example. I don't
Right,
know
sure.
if that's what it is in
It's a
there.
9.
It's a 9.
Is it a 9? So it's a 9. Okay. Thanks. Cool.
And it'd be like 0692 is probably the boy.
Yeah, that's usually what it
It's
shows up
usually
on
all
registrations.
It was a 0, but all the girl units were.
Okay.
So there we are with the unit, 2 codes, and we've got to check, and your district executives, your council office staff can answer that question on the phone for you if you have any confusion about getting the right 4-digit number for your boy or girl troops. Okay?
But it could be you could have just one recharter champion and to recharter both units.
Yeah.
You'd be the same.
Depending on how linked your troop
However
is.
you want to raise your hands.
Well, we'll figure that out. That's a question we'll bring up when we get back to the committee.
Okay, so we know we're going to get the access code in the mail, we know we're troops, and then the unit number, got to make sure you got the right one. 6692 and 7692 will each have 2 different codes, one for the boy troop, one for the girl.
Okay.
Okay, next slide, sir.
When do those secret codes come out?
Secret codes will come out on or about October 1st, whatever the Monday is, right around that weekend.
It won't be a secret. We'll try not to make it a secret.
When we have, you know, finalized from national, I think the Monday may be a 2nd or a 3rd of October. That's probably going to be the date that they drop. You know, can't go early. So whenever our coders and people come to their regularly appointed scheduled hours of their occupation, they will set it up and drop it. Could be first thing in the morning, could take them all day, who knows. But on that Monday after the 1st of October.
Okay, so that brings up another question. From
Yes, sir?
October 15th is when council wants it, right?
No.
No. Okay.
So, this is, you know.
Sorry, I'm just-
No, over the
I might be jumping ahead here. I've been in the game for quite a while.
Let me
So.
do this, Rich.
Okay.
We want it December 1st.
December 1st, okay.
December 1st, that's 2 months.
Okay,
We're still working, I personally, I'll let you behind the curtain.
sorry, everybody.
I'm working on a incentive of some kind for units to finish by November 1st and a smaller incentive by December 1st.
Okay.
So council says no money for that, so we're working. A little around the coffee table, bartering is going on, you know. So we want to make it incentivized for people to get on it and get it done. Yeah.
Cool.
The next screen that pops up, once you put in your name and your number and everything, of course, I agree to not be malicious and my viewing of confidential information of people, etc. I agree. Next slide, sir. Unit processor. That's your committee's designated person that's going to be handling your recharter, whether it's the committee chair or a committee member at large, etc. Who they are, they create their own password and their email address so that things can be pushed to them back and forth with yay, you completed recharter, or sorry, this adult needs YPT, so notifications in the phone.
John,
Yes, sir.
please remember your password because we don't have access to that information at the council. So if you forget it,
It will take some turnaround.
we'll really have to reset the whole thing. Just be there.
So your work will be done or lost if you have to reset your password. All right, what's next? Here we are getting into the meat of it. This screen will explain the stages of Recharter. Progress through them until satisfied. So stage 1, fill the roster. You can take the council information, you can upload from some of those software packages that are, what do you say, approved by national, and that their code will link with the Internet Recharter code. I can
It should
look at
really
it.
make it easy when you do in your LinkedIn to my.scotty.org. You know, if you're one of the key threes, you can pull the roster right from there. Other than any new scouts you have added since the last time that was updated. But you can pull from there. If you're using Scout Book, you can do the same thing. You can actually export a roster from Scout Book.
And this system should show what's in your Scout book. They should be drawing from the same database. So if you're using Scout book, load the council information. That's it. Scout book is free to your unit. And this could be the time where your committee discusses, do we want to continue to send $80 to Troop Master? Or do we want to bite the bullet and cross-load all the Scouts advancement information to the Scout book?
Are you still using Troop Master or anything like that? Or are you all on Scout Book or?
That's a question for the advancement chair, isn't it?
Yeah.
I see the eyebrows.
So I
No,
did,
we're on Scout
I
Book.
did the conversion from Troop Master to Scout Book. It's not that. So that's just that's off topic.
All right, we've loaded our roster.
Okay.
Sir. Stage 2, updating information on the roster.
Question, John.
Yes, sir.
So what happened, you upload the roster and the kids or adults not there?
As if they moved away and moved
No,
on?
no, no. If you have kids showing up to your meetings, you pull up the roster and the kid's name is not on the roster, what do you do?
Well, then, theoretically, you would have already known this, because if they're not in Scout Book and you're tracking their advancement and you're not able to advance them, what it really points to, the bottom line is that Scouts or adults registration has not been properly processed by the council office. So that was a good time to bite the bullet and say, hey, we need you to fill out another piece of paper, unless your unit has kept unit copy of their application, and get that into the reception here at the Scout office and get it processed.
And I know for a fact, some units, when they get new scouts in, love to hold on to those registration packets and submit them all at one time, whatever. We're asking all units not to do that. Submit the registrations as you get them into the council office, so council has the time to process them, getting them on ScoutNet through the system. If you wait and put them all at the last minute, it just puts a more administrative burden on this office to do a bunch at one time. And towards the end of the year, or towards October 1st, November 1st, December 1st, you talk about 6,000, 5,000 scouts, and you're talking about new scouts, you're looking at maybe a 5% bump or whatever. You're putting a lot of paperwork on this office, so we
So
ask you to submit them.
That brings up 2 points. One is the historical, so wind back the clock to the 80s and the 90s, and they said, oh, you can turn in your recharter, because you were hand jamming at the time, turn in that with the new applications all at once, it'll be easy. And so people that still have any corporate knowledge of that or memory, they say, oh, I turn in my new applications when I do my recharter, it'll be all right. Not anymore, because it won't go through well with paper recharters, and you trying to do it, they're not going to get on the recharter. You're not going to be able to advance them. It's going to mess up dates for their end goal, Eagle Scout, when dates are enumerated when you get down to that Eagle Scout application.
Probably one of the most important points, and John was probably going to cover it, but until you turn in that application, they're registered, they're not covered under BSA insurance.
But not a Scout.
So
Their advancements
anything
don't
that
count.
they do from that time until they're actually a registered scout does not count. Even if they go on a camp out, you're just taking a lot of risk. So
And then we can highlight one of Duke's personality facets. He's a wonderful leader for the council and gracious to every volunteer. He will crack the whip on his paid professional executive staff to be where you are to pick up those applications. They will come to you, and Duke is going to drive them mercilessly to facilitate our program. All right. So, district executives will come to you to pick up wherever you need it, whenever you need it. All right. What's that bring us to? Updating the roster. Stage 2, yay! And what's the key here? If at any time you wish to stop, select the gear in the upper corner. Who has a gear? Weatava Lodge? Yeah, anyway, gear, select the gear, and you can log out all your progress so far with the state. Okay? In stage 2, what can you do? You can add members, you can change address, update member data, all those good things. Swapping adult positions. When the Cub Masters decided, I want to be the Weevilow's den leader for my scout who's getting ready to have their last fun-filled year, and they'd rather volunteer there. This is where you change it. Sir?
this is where you also drop adults who are no longer serving in a leadership position, or they're a scout that is eagled and they've moved on, because when you recharter, you're rechartered for that entire 12 months. They stay on your roster for 12 months. Sounds crude, but they bought and paid for that right. And so they don't come off your roster either until after the recharter, the next recharter.
Makes sense. All right. Updating information. Your charter org's address. Select next step.
Sorry.
No, you're right, you're right.
Okay.
And this is where it will do a review where you're at. This is actually like a view of the first sheet of the printed out paper recharter on your computer. Charter org, executive officer, the total tab to do the recharter. Sir? Instruction pages for selecting and deselecting can be viewed. Refresh your roster if you've changed or added anything to update your view here. Put in names. Their BSA ID number will come up. You can change the positions, etc. Yes, sir.
Please, please, please do not put in their nickname or other names, whatever legal names that they use, that should be in the roster. It'll cause all kind of problems down the road, use a nickname.
Because your new scout, Tommy, who then is in 5 years going to be submitting an Eagle application as Thomas J.
Yeah.
They won't match, they won't find the records. They're going to say, what has happened?
It's also a really, really good idea if you could come back, because not everybody can do this in one day. Every time you hit this page, hit the update. Just because there's things that happen in the background, you may not be aware of someone dropping off an application, or you may not be aware of someone dropping off, or whatever. So yeah, every time you come back to this page, hit update on that page.
So after you've updated on the second, or the first page, come to the second, there's more review. Sir? Step 3, promoting members. I can't speak to that as well, do you?
You skip this step, do not promote.
Okay.
In the LDS program, they do the promotion from rank to rank, but the non-LDS units, the communities, we don't do that. So we just go on the rank. That's it.
Very good.
Don't go that step.
If you're one of those people that watches and is looking for everything when you come to do it, and suddenly National drops to the screen this year or next year, don't be surprised, because the LDS is ending their formal relationship as scouting as their youth group. So if that slide falls off, don't be alarmed. Add new member. New adult. First name, last name, what they're going to be, etc. All right.
So if you, at this step, you're adding youth and adults while doing this process, you need to include the actual piece of paper that they fill out, accompanying this.
So when you submit, click submit, say you count those, the hard copies need to come into the office, including the YPT certificate they gave you. Social Security number, the warning to put you at ease, you will not have to deal with people's Social Security numbers.
So if you're adding an adult, I mean, I know the paperwork can't be submitted without their YPT. I mean, that's just the rest. But if you're adding an adult and you get to part of it, it's going to come up with a, oops, YPT not in the system.
Right.
Is there going to be a button that you can click on there next to their name that says, have hard copy, will submit, or whatever it's going to be phrased as, so you can get past that stage?
Not a button, no. Again, the way, going back to why we encourage submissions of the hard copy paperwork.
Right.
When that YPT certificate hits our clerical staff, and they will check that box. When you refresh, then your adult will be not a detractor from being able to complete.
So as soon as their paperwork's processed here,
Yes.
we should be able to pull it over and stuff. Okay.
What's next? New youth, much the same. Sir? Enter their information. opportunity to update information for members, whether they've changed from committee to assistant scoutmaster, or they got rid of their Fort Benning area code cell phone number and picked up a 253 in this area. You can change their phone numbers, etc. Another slide of updating information. And each unit, depending on which unit they are, they have to have a primary leader for the youth, scoutmaster, cubmaster. They have to have a committee chair. They have to have a charter org rep. And other units may require different supporting adult functions.
Two committee members.
Two committee members.
Believe it or not, this is fairly difficult for some units, because their charter organization is not involved in their troop, crew, pack. They're just not involved. So to find who the executive officer is and who your charter organization rep is, sometimes they're behind the scenes. You might not know. They might have swapped out. It might be the pastor of a church. They swap pastors, or the pastor doesn't know anything about Scouts. There's just many different scenarios. So this is where Recharter sometimes slows way down, is trying to do, basically when you have to get signatures, trying to get signatures from your charter organization can be difficult. So pre-loading this up and pre-queuing these folks up that this is going to happen is a success bullet that you need to put away. Is here's what we'll be doing in the future. Here's, you know, finding out this information, queuing them up that this is going to happen. Now, we have a lot of troops, we have charter organization rep here, we have a lot of units who their charter organization reps are very involved. It's great. They handle it, they get the executive to sign. So that's wonderful. There are some units that they might not even know who their COR is.
Okay, what's next? All your changes. You're feeling mostly happy. You may have a chance, you think. You hit your check browser button.
Lightly.
Next, please.
Your eyes closed, you kind of go.
What's next? Oh, sorry. There was that one YPT certificate that needs to get submitted, and it will take you to a screen, and we'll show you who has faults in your system. And you're like, you know, I haven't seen this guy in 3 years. Am I going to drop him from the roster? Maybe give them a call. Are you still interested in Scouts?
Mm-hmm.
And do you have your $35 annual registration fee? What's our fee this year?
It's,
36?
no, it's actually, it's 40.
40.
Oh, is that enough?
Registration fee is not controlled by your local council.
I know, all the money goes to national, so unfortunately.
So
I
there's
wish
your
10%.
opportunity
I
to
wish
fix
10%
your faults, whether it's a YPT or some other number not quite matching the threat.
John, will this show all errors?
Yes.
Rather than just
Well,
one time?
if you've been calling Thomas J. Tommy for 3 years, you gotta stick with that error.
Yeah, I guess my question is, will you know from this screen how many different errors you need to correct?
Absolutely. It will enumerate every
Every single.
one.
And this thing to keep in mind about YPT, with YPT changing, the course is a lot longer than it used to be. So if you're waiting until the last minute to do this and trying to get someone to take their YPT, it's not a 15-minute class anymore. It takes a while longer.
Mhm.
So it's more in-depth, and so.
I don't think it requires any more, critical thinking than the previous ones did.
No, it's just
It's-
more
it's
videos and situational stuff that gets presented and stuff, and it takes a while longer to take.
Well, a lot of it has to do with incorporating the young ladies into the troop atmosphere.
It does.
What's next? All right, updating
Just gonna show you
the member who has the error, fix what may be the problem. Next. Oh, can I go back one? I think there was more line.
there. Can I?
Yep. The unit processor will be able to modify YPT dates, but should be done so with proper documentation. So I think you can update the date. However, the original registration for that person is going to need a hard copy. Moving on. That one doesn't tell me anything.
No, it just says you have another chance to updating other members who are in there.
Next.
Uh-oh.
Yay, you got through all your errors. Congratulations. All your errors are fixed. That's your message.
Your typical errors would be if the adults you enter is not already in the system, is missing the application. Or the scout is not in the system, you have not submitted the application. Those are the two major errors that we get. And of course the YPT.
And there'll be a summary page too. Let's talk about money. Last year was 33. This year is going to be 40. Yeah. Who's committed to Boys Life and who hasn't? Verifying Boys Life button. See what you need to qualify to be a 100%. That gets you the gold Mylar border on your quality unit award.
And that's per family. So if you have two boys in the same family, it counts as 10%.
If you have a Cub Scout, a Scout, and a Venturer, so only need one in that family. Oh boy, that's a busy slide. This is where you can sign electronically. Look at the box, select who's the approver. If you insist on doing your hard copy and want to meet somebody face to face, but we do not agree, we are hoping that many units will choose to go totally online. And then whether council is putting in additional insurance fees or not will be here under unit liability and accident and sickness. Charter fee, that's the unit liability. All right.
What is the Boys Life annual subscription? For
It
this?
was $1 a month, 12.
Still,
I'm not
that
certain.
hasn't changed in forever.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good. Next. So if you said you don't want to complete everything online, it'll give you one more chance to say, oops, I didn't even check that box. And proceed or not. Next. All right, paying. The unit has a credit card, there will be a little, processing fee. Paying cash or writing a paper check means meeting up with your district executive to turn it in or coming to the office.
So, you can correct me if I'm wrong, this is where we want you to actually write a check and bring it to the council office. And the reason why is if you submit your money through this internet recharter, it goes to national, it then locks your unit. And let's say you do this October 1st, November 1st. Any scouts you receive after that date up until the end of recharter, you can't add to your roster. And is that still this?
No. So what will happen is you personally cannot do it. We will add it on your charter.
Oh, we cannot,
Right, you cannot.
as a unit, we cannot add any of those scouts after it's.
After you submit it, we will have to do that here.
I was confused there for a minute with your frame of reference as representing the council. You say we, so
Council administrator.
the council administratively, we can fix that new youth applying after you recharter before the end of the year.
Yes.
People that are unit leaders cannot.
So please bring them in until December 35th.
And you can always do an e-check. it'll provide you with the information to fill out an online check, account number, routing number, etc. That goes straight to national?
Yes.
Yes.
So if you pay by credit card or an e-check, it goes directly to national, and it'll process all that. Pay by check, and it goes through our system here.
Would you prefer payment by check to the council office here?
I think that's an individual selection. I personally, when I recharter my unit, I like to use that unit debit card. Our unit is not adding 6 or 8 scouts between, when I do the recharter in October, November, and the end of the year then. So for what works for our venture crew is to get it done, use the unit bank account and just pay it. Get it done, get it over with, get out of the way. If we had 2 friends and one of their brothers or sisters joining us, we would get that hard copy, we bring it in the office, the application, the hard copy application, bring that in, and the council will prorate for the end of the year and take next year's fees for each of those scouts and do it on their end.
Just as a warning, you're using credit cards, those type of things, for your larger units, you're probably gonna exceed the limitation on using your card. So call your bank ahead of time and get pre-authorization, because if you have a 50 scout unit times $40, and you just blew the one daily allotment, maybe you have $1,000 or $1,500 limit per charge. So just let your bank know ahead of time that you're gonna run this charge, and they'll pre-approve.
Plus that 3%, when you're looking at a troop that size,
Right.
plus committee members and leaders and everything else, that's huge.
Yeah. $30 on every 1,000, is that 3%?
Yeah, so, in our troop, it's probably, we have 52 scouts with probably at least 30 plus registered adults. So it's a lot of extra money. So that's why sometimes if you let your money person do it all and form it all up, and we just wrote a troop check and brought it in here, because then you don't have to pay the 3%.
Yep.
So for purpose of clarification, what we're asking people is to choose the cash option here and then come pay locally, correct? Instead of choosing one of the other 2 options on this page right here, when they get to this page.
I'm not going to endorse anyone over any other.
I think it's the unit's choice.
If they decide to pay locally, they should
Right.
choose the cash option, correct?
That's the only way to
Right?
pay locally is the cash option. Again, for my crew, which is 8 youth and maybe the same number of adults, 16, it just makes sense for me to run it on the card. Okay, the 3% doesn't turn out to be a whole lot for us.
What I was
E-check
asking-
I've never tried, but I think it's a wonderful idea.
So the local option, you would choose cash, correct?
I think it's only,
Yes.
you can't run a credit card here at the office.
So that's a good point to bring up, because the 3% cost to process a credit card, the council have to pay that. So we would ask, if you're gonna pay locally, please pay the check, so to avoid that fee.
Oh, so not transferring the $300 service fee on a 100 scout unit. Very good. Yeah. Payment successful, yay. Payment message. Pretty self-explanatory. And then there's the e-check screen, if that's what you chose to do. I think I've got everything. What are we telling you here? If you're paying by cash, you have the option to check this box when you submit your roster. Okay, so check that box, hit submit to council, and at that point you know that you have to contact council. Hey, I'm ready, let's make a payment. How do we make a payment? Come in here anytime during the posted business hours. We'll be on site, which times?
From
we're still working out on the details of when to turn it in, but I would, my hope is that you set an appointment with your district executives and commissioners. They'll review it, receive your packet, make sure everything's all correct, and then accept the check, and run you a field receipt, and you're done. Okay, bring it in here. If the district executive is here and they can help you with that, that would be perfect. We prefer you don't just drop it off here because whoever's going to check it, if I sit there for a few days, whatever, there's a problem, then they have to chase you down and all that. So we're still going to have details on the turn-in process, but that's kind of what's going on.
So if you're paying with the check, call your scout district executive. They will meet you, be able to write you a receipt and check your charter if you're paying in person with a cash option.
I think a good point to just emphasize what Duke said is have an appointment. A couple DEs last year said, hey, I'm gonna sit at Starbucks on this day from this time to this time. Well, what if everybody came in at the last 30 minutes or whatever? So call the DE and just schedule a time to meet, a common location to meet, and that way you're assured of getting individualized attention and getting your stuff put in.
Or you can pay electronically online and not have to worry about anything. For a 3% fee. Submit to council, last click. Is there a closure? Oh, confirming that you really need to submit. Then, survey. You can tell them how easy this was to do it all online, sign it online electronically, submit a electronic payment, and you never left the comfort of your Barclay.
Marcus still wear glasses?
Your couch or whatever
Jeez.
lounge furniture you
Wow.
choose to use. That's what we're hoping for is that we can get as much done online as possible. If that doesn't work for your unit, whether through being a super unit that has a substantial amount of money where 3% makes a difference, or you have personal needs for your unit that you need addressed in person with your district executive, you can still do it that way. If you're a tech person and your unit has the resources to pay online, please do.
What happened if you hit submit and you go, oops, I got something?
A simple phone call to the scout office during business hours to straighten that out.
Call Duke.
Or call Duke. His number is, let's go around the room. Any questions of what we've covered so far, sir?
Can
Here's the
payment
last.
be made to the Tumwater service?
I'm sorry?
Can payment be made to the Tumwater?
Tumwater is open for business. Mark Woodman is a district executive operating out of there. He may be, down to wire hazard, ask for a $120,000 grant that day. But just call him up, set a time, and meet with Mark. The cashier downstairs in the shop can accept payments.
Again, I think it's best to go through your district executive, your commissioners, because for the person, when you bring your package into the stores, they're just gonna accept that, it's not verified, so there might be a problem, it's gonna be, so it's best to make an appointment, get it done that way.
Okay?
And I guess similarly, you don't just send a check to the service center.
Oh, you don't mail it.
No, please do not.
So I've never done any of this, so the best case scenario is to have everybody registered before you even start this, so you don't have to add anybody
That's right.
to it. Would be the best case, that's what
That's
I'm
right.
understanding.
And what you'll see in September, following the council and district Facebook pages, the council emails, automated emails are going to go out, and that will encourage you to turn in your new member applications.
To add on to the best case scenarios, start also having your troop trainer or troop advancement person look into the youth protection, make sure none of the adults are gonna expire beforehand, because that's one of the major holdups on Recharter is you actually have to drop that person if they won't get that youth protection. So,
We have a lot of youth that are aged out that have to take youth protection training.
So yeah, that's one of the major hurdles. So if you get every one of your adults or aged out youth or whatever that are active to get that YPT, it'll make everything so much smoother.
And you're using Scoutbook, Kathy?
Yeah, yeah.
And you can go into reports, your unit leader report, it syncs with scouting.org, the training, it comes down and it will show you any of your adults who are red, that they're past due. It'll show yellow if they're within the next 60 days, or green, they're good to go. And look at that final date that they took, that two-year bracket. You can easily, I always send them, when they hit yellow, I always send them, are you continuing being an ASM? Your youth protection is about ready to run out. As of this day, you need to hop on that. And so it'll actually pull up a report, and you can do that at a meeting.
Any questions, sir?
Earlier it was stated that one of the issues in the past was chasing down a physical signature, maybe from the chartered organization representative. Going to the all online model, you quickly went on the signature screen where someone's going to click it, identify their position. Are we getting key three, all three signing off on that electronically, or is it just the unit processor who is handling that?
That's right. The unit processor, if they're a designated member of Key 3, they can sign it and submit it. There's a wrinkle in the registration process that a committee member can also be designated as is it alternate, provisional, one of those prefix words, you know, member of Key 3, and that they can act as a Key 3 member even though they're not the committee chair or the scoutmaster. Delegate, Key 3 delegate, and in fact that's what we used last year in my group, was the option for Key 3 delegate. And that's one of those complicated things that you can follow and get instructions on how to do from the scout office. Man, sir, sticks fans.
I know.
So here's a loaded question for you. Another one. You got an adult leader who's registered under both troops. How's that going to show up in the system?
So they're actually primary to one of the units, and
Right.
they designate they're going to pay the girl troop, and the boy troop will designate them as paying under another unit.
Okay.
So I'm primary to my troop, and I'm actually an alternate as a council commissioner to the council. This next year, I'll switch it around. My primary will be to council, my alternate will be to my troop. So I'm actually registered to both.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm registered to 3 different units, and whichever one picks me up and pays their charter first is who I pay.
Okay.
Any questions, sir?
Good.
That works.
No questions. Final thoughts, Donald?
No, I think you did a really good job.
This is, spread the word, because we have more trainings coming, but we're gonna wanna go down, you know, get some training down to your location, get more folks from the south in to do this training. But spread the word that we're doing this, please. And this is the commissioner's #1. If we were gonna pick something this year that we were going to do right, we don't have enough commissioners out there to begin with, but if we're gonna do something right, this is one that we can help units out do. So that's why, you know, we tagged John, he signed up and just to really help the units do this. If we can make this smooth. My unit with 50 scouts in it has been re-registered last several years by December 1st easily. I mean, it just takes communication, some coordination, some people to be on top of a few things. And it does take, someone who has a computer and is computer literate to go through the steps. But sometimes if you sit down and do it together with your advancement chair or whatever, do it together, you have your committee's secretary or whatever reading the old roster while someone's typing it in, or you import in, someone else is verifying it, so you have 2 eyes. It goes actually really pretty fast. But thank you, John. Great presentation. I like it.
All right, so what comes next? September, you should see, again, at least once, if not once a week, communication broadcasts, I want to say email blast, or blasting anybody, but through the various forms of communication that we employ, asking for an updated key 3, and if you have a designated recharter member of the committee, keep pulling those in, make sure we're sending these codes to the right people. October 2nd, we're going to go with that as a soft date. October 2nd, you'll see the email with the code, the secret code to get started. In October at the roundtable times, we will be available for training, for submitting, sitting with you side saddle if you've got all your things ready to go, and can accept payments in person at the roundtable. I believe it's up here. Both? All right. We will have people at both locations during roundtable. Also, at the October roundtable, the traditional packet, stuffed with all the good information and the printed version of your secret code, will be available for those that prefer that. Once that roundtable is over, then they will go into the various file slots, like at the Tumwater office with the drawer for every unit has a file folder, and they'll be available there. The district executive, the district commissioner and his commissioner team for your district will also be pushing to get these packets out to your units. Okay. Can't stress enough for troops, crews, and ships that the Order of the Arrows annual dues renewal form will be in here as well, and that's very valuable to those units. The next date, we're still working on whether or not we can have a presence at the council camporee in October. Stay tuned for more news on whether we can accept your payments and your recharters in October there, as well as the roundtable. Sorry, November 2nd is University of Scouting. We will have training class, repeat what we've done here, and have staff members ready to accept completed charters on hand at University of Scouting, which is, I don't know if you help me with the location?
I don't know the name of the high school, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's right, it's the middle school behind Pacific Lutheran PLU University. So we'll be accepting at University of Scouting recharters. Where does that take us to? Hopefully by that November 1st, most of the units will have completed. November 2nd, will completed December 1st. That is our end goal as a council. We want everybody to be done by then.
So each month at my commissioners meeting, we'll be going over the stats, who we've talked to, who we haven't, who submitted, who hasn't, so we can try to adjust our training out there, or information out there to try to pick up the units we don't.
Drop dead date is December 31st. Gotta have them done. Be mindful that the scout office will close for holidays, have reduced staffing for those people that take vacation during that time as well. So it'll be measurably more difficult to complete your charter between December 21st and the end of the year. And let's just leave it at that. I do know that January 31st, you will be locked out of your ability to provide advancement for your scouts.
Yeah, we don't even want that to come anywhere close to those dates.
What's OA fee this year?
$20.
$20.
If we have any questions or processors in the units have any questions, who should I reach out to in the council office or within their support chains for assistance?
Number one assistance is your commissioner, your unit commissioner. If you do not know the name of your unit commissioner, you can call the district commissioners. Their names are prominent in their Facebook feeds. As well as it's on the council, contact us, and you can find your commissioner staff. The district executives are also listed there. as well and can help you.
And I would encourage every unit to get on, both districts have a Facebook page, and I know some people don't do Facebook, but we do put out a lot of information there. And so, which I monitor actually both Facebook pages. So, if someone popped on there and say, I don't know who my unit commissioner is, then tell us your unit number, we'll find it.
So earlier in the presentation, we talked about deleting off the adults that you haven't seen in a little while, or their youth is aged out or eagled out, and you're wondering, are they gonna play? When you make that phone call, see if they're still, and they say, you know, I've had a good run with the troop, and thank you for the experience. You say, how would you like to share that experience going forward in the role of a unit commissioner? You can be our unit advisor, our commissioner, and still have ties to us. Come when you can. Share your knowledge with the next generation of adults and scouts that need your knowledge. And that's a wonderful way to provide a path forward for your adults that have reached that point. What's the age of a commissioner? 18, that's right. So that is another option for your super scouts, that they can help units after they age out as well. Any final thoughts?
I have one more quick. Any clarification on the OA? Are local dues being collected with the Recharter?
At the same time, they are separate processes that we are trying to put in parallel. Now, how do you get a recharter or a dues renewal for your unit? Through the hard copy packing. That payment then is not figured in with your electronic online recharter payment. Rather, when you have all your members and their dues collected at your unit, you can drop that off as a unit, and helps the members know when it's time, and so that they don't fall off. So your unit is helping your scouts. You're also helping the lodge, so that one more channel of communication to renew dues goes out. What does the OA do with the dues? This is really important. We do not pay these dues to the council. They're very small dip into that. Just a couple of dollars, maybe $5 goes to OA National to help support programs. And the rest of that goes straight in to supporting programs in the Pacific Harbors Council area. Has everybody been to Thunderbird? Yeah, that's a pretty simple question. Has anybody been to Thunderbird before the summer of 2017? Mm-hmm. And when you went to the dining hall, it was dark, it was dank, it was gloomy, it was kind of a cave. In the summer of 2017, the lodge invested in the paint, the manpower, all the supplies, painted the inside of the dining hall a brighter color. You go in there, now it's light, you can see, it doesn't feel as clammy and cloying, clinging. Really changed the face of the dining hall experience. Have you been to Thunderbird and attended any kind of function in the Dale O Training Center? And all those tables and chairs didn't come free. And the council didn't spend for those. The lodge actually donated all that to the council. You'll see other projects from previously and going forward as well. The next big one is they're in the midst of creating better signage. This is a project, the lodge, better signage for Camp Thunderbird. So when you go to the camp, you're not confused by those, long, skinny, narrow signs that say Cleveland Scout Reservation. There'll be a large Camp Thunderbird sign, an arrow that points you the way at the fork, more decorative signage at the parking lot, so that when you go to summer camp or a camp out with your unit, gather around this sign that says where you're at. It looks good, you look good, and makes for great pictures. And the third phase of that we're still working on is providing highway signage out on Washington 8 to tell you this is the turn, so that you don't have to rely on looking for the antique store sign when you go to Thunderbird.
But Bob, at the same time I turn in an application for Recharter for me, I also turn in a separate $20 check for OA in the form to the same charter, to the same Recharter representative from our troop. She collects it all, puts all the OA into the stack and clips it together, and she takes that to council and turns it in.
And I think Margaret could ask my question. My sense was previously individual airmen would pay the lodge directly or be pestered by Dave Wellman until you send a check.
Yeah.
Now the expectation is all airmen within the unit get their $20 renewals, dues.
We do it at the same time as Recharter, that way it's all done, it's not.
The lodge recharters annually as well as the units. So that's the another avenue of paying the dues that the lodge has arranged. It's preferred to pay as a group at recharter time. Will those that don't want to do that process have the opportunity to pay individually to Dave Wellman via check or coming to the office? Yes. Or pay at events.
And it will not compromise the charters.
It will not. Now, fun fact, the lodge has electronic registration for their events. You can go to that electronic registration. Well, I can't make it to Fall Fellowship, but I want to pay my dues. So you go down the options of various things to pay for. Click that annual dues renewal. You can pay your $20 online via the event registration without actually registering for the event. Comes down to 3 weeks before the event, you know what? My cousin's not getting married this weekend. After all, I want to go to Fall Fellowship. Can I go in and register again? You sure can. You can register for the event separate from paying your dues on the event registration. All right. Well, I want to say thank you for
all
coming out. Stay in contact with us when we get started. We're here for you.